Hey there. Beautiful day there. What do you say there? How's it going? How's it growing? And how is it flowing in your life today? This is Jerome Shaw, host of the Open Palm Podcast, motivator, meditator, coming at you with another message as we take another look in the Pranic World Book. This is part of the series, part of the Pranic pages, embracing the different stages as we listen to one of the modern sages of these ages that we live in today. So much love to you and sending energy your way. This time around, we are gonna get into chapter 2. So you already know how to do. If you haven't seen the introduction or chapter 1, we've just now begun, so you can go back, you can click on that and take a look as we peek into this book once again. So you'll find that playlist is called Pranic Pages. Now, chapter 2, we start with scientific facts on pranic nourishment. And this is an informal reading, once again. So as we're proceeding, once again, I'll just be highlighting a few little points, and just stopping here and there to bring something more into the air. Chi, prana, definitions, and studies. An article published on the website lightdocumentary.com, the website of In the Beginning There Was Light, movie about pranic nourishment, we found this good argument on what prana is and how it can nourish our bodies. The chi energy, or you may call it prana, organ, mana, or light, surrounds us everywhere. Also, in the absence of visible light, it enters our body. So every human being is living to a certain degree on light, meaning this direct chi assimilation. So think about this for a second. We have different terms, different strokes for different folks, right? Different blokes that call this energy, right? You might hear electromagnetism, chi, prana, ki in Japan, chi in China, ka in Africa, right? Different places, different cultures have different terms of endearment for consciousness, for this energy that is surrounding us all the time. You even hear Star Wars refer to it as the living force, the force that binds us, the force that ties us together, the force that surrounds us, that abounds us, the force that grounds us. May the force be with you, right? And also with you. So the force influences all that you do. In China, the mysterious energy of life is called qi. Qi is used in acupuncture and martial arts and shows very real effects. In medical qigong, it is taught that the qi energy not only enters through food and breath into the body, but there are also direct ways for the entry through the skin. So there's so many ways that the qi can be assimilated within. You can even absorb it in through the skin. And I remember hearing and reading a passage in Hilton Hotima's Man's Higher Consciousness that talked about this unknown foreign element, this energy, this substance that enters the blood through the air And this substance has always been there. Scientists, medical physicians, people, they're boggled by this, right? They have yet to catch up to what this substance is. But we have terms for what it is, and we call it prana. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition indicates that human bodies are at least partly powered by an unknown source, saying the energy balance in man measured by direct and indirect calorimetry. So it's just talking about how there's an unknown source or an unmeasured source that actually powers the human body that we cannot live without, that is always around and about. And this energy doesn't just have to go through the mouth, right? Peer-reviewed scientific studies showed that human bodies produce much more energy than they consume calorically. The scientists had no explanation for the energy out of nothing and just called it unmeasured energy. What a treasure. The things that have no measure, right? The things that bring us pleasure. What a treasure. Eastern medical traditions already know for millennia that the body is also nourished in a non-caloric way. The direct chi or prana, as in Ayurvedic medicine. The teachings of medical Qigong state that some people possess, by nature, a better ability to absorb chi directly, without the detour via food. And it is also possible to enhance this ability with Qigong, or yoga, or other energetic practices. So there's so many different, you would say, magical or even mystical modalities that can reshape and change your reality by enhancing the ability to absorb the chi in a direct form. To have that ionic nutrition and nourishment become your new norm, right? It is said that in some people, the direct assimilation of chi can be so high that they reach a state of begu, meaning literally without bread, but filled with chi. Now, of course, you've heard of the Bible verse, right? Man cannot live by bread alone. And, you know, we talk about this state of begu, the begu state, meaning without bread, but filled with chi. One who is without bread, one who does not live by bread alone. And has been shown and lets it be known that the energy they receive is always at home, right? So we understand that we are really never alone. There are unseen forces that are all around us. And when you understand this state of begu, right? Where these Taoist or martial artists with prowess and people exercising their power within Qigong or Tai Chi all day long, right? Not saying one way is right and another is wrong, but that you can build your energy to a point that's so strong that you are no longer hungry. Where people were able to transcend hunger by accident, where people to transcend thirst by accident, you know? Almost by chance or by happenstance, they were able to elevate themselves, to ascend to a point that they realized, oh wow, there's no end. Becoming your own friend again, and realizing you need nothing outside, and allowing the power to always reside Medical Qigong describes 3 states of begu. The lightest state, drinking normally and eating very little, like a few nuts or fruits per week. State 2, only drinking. And the final and absolute state of begu, no drinking or eating at all. And of course, you've also heard of inedia, which means to eat very little or not at all. And these practices, they're all over the world. They're in so many different customs and countries and continents, right? But we are really just now coming into more awareness, in all fairness, of the things that have always been there, of the energy that is all in the air, you know? So understanding this state of begu, where people were raising their energies to the point where they're like, wow, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to imbibe with when you're raising the vibe with, right? Dr. TCM Chi Duan Li speaks about the possibility of non-caloric nutrition. The vice president of the International Medical Qigong Association, Chi Duan Li, states, Qi is part of the invisible side of our bodies. And Chinese medicine says, we live on Qi. But this ancient wisdom also tells us that one does not need to draw Qi necessarily from food. That means if I don't eat and I open my body, I can directly live from nature and energy. Of course, not everybody can attain this state. During the Pranic Consciousness Summit, we interviewed more than 20 specialists in pranic nourishment, the state of being nourished by Qi, and pranic science, the science of using and harnessing free energy, right? Like Nikola Tesla, free energy. It's free, you know? To be able to comprehend this possibility and how it works. Each one has its own method, but they all agree that a balanced lifestyle and meditation are a part of the process. So I'll say that one more time. Each person, each pranic practitioner had their own methods of achieving this possibility, right? And as we know, it's more of a probability and a likelihood, right? To feel so good, like you know you should. But all agreed that a balanced lifestyle and meditation was a part of the process. So Elitam Elamin used to always tell us, meditation is the foundation, you know? Kept drilling that over and over and over. Meditation is the foundation. Meditation is medication. Meditation is the foundation, you know? And it didn't become apparent to me until I finally started to get it. It finally, the more I meditated, the more I practiced, the less questions I started to have. The more I put it into the work, the more I really felt all the perks. I was able to see what I was not seeing before. I was able to find that there was so much more. Breatharianism tested in hospitals. An article in abcnews.com is introducing the medical studies that were issued on the theme of Breatharianism. Breatharianism, the ability of being nourished by prana, refers to the practice of sustaining oneself without the need for food. This concept is not new. In fact, for thousands of years, various cultures around the world have written of this ability. Let's continue. In the 3rd book of the Yoga Sutras, for example, approximately 25 siddhis are listed as having extraordinary abilities. And you know the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just that little extra, right? It's just that little extra. These extraordinary abilities. But they're still ordinary. They're just extraordinary, right? They're still natural. They're just seemingly supernatural. right? Or one might say preternatural, that these are ancient things that we are coming back into the knowledge of now. Talking about the siddhis. And I believe I remember somebody talking about siddhis, and that siddhis were like perfections or abilities that one can attain. And that actually to be without hunger or to be without food or drink was actually a minor siddhi power. That in the grand scheme of things, in the grand theme of things, this pranic nourishment, this drawing of energy, this ability that you awaken within your vessel, allowing yourself to not have to wrestle with needing food or needing nourishment from outside sources, is actually a minor ability. It's not that large when you think about it. It's just a minor siddhi power. So let's continue. This is a common theme throughout Buddhism and various other spiritual traditions as well. Clairvoyance, psychokinesis, which is like telekinesis, moving objects with your mind, and many more are all special traits attributed to the siddhis, as is the liberation from hunger and thirst. Though modern-day science has seen evidence of extended human capacities like telepathy, remote viewing, and precognition, very little work has gone into examining breatharianism. I wonder why. Why would very little work go into examining this field? What might be the danger with having this knowledge be revealed? And what might be the benefit for having this knowledge be concealed? Right? Keeping it real. Okay, you ask yourself that question. Some brilliant minds do believe it's possible, however, including Nikola Tesla. Aha, shout out to Tesla. In 1901, he made the following argument, and I quote, "My idea is that the development of life must lead to forms of existence that will be possible without nourishment and which will not be shackled by consequent limitations. Why should a living being not be able to obtain all the energy it needs for the performance of its life functions from the environment, instead of through consumption of food, and transforming by a complicated process the energy of chemical combinations into life-sustaining energy?" That is the question that Nikola Tesla posed back in 1901. Liberation from food and hunger does indeed sound unrealistic, and from what we know of modern-day biology, impossible. But the history of science has shown us many times that the impossible can become the possible in an instant. Woo! Now, I love this because, there are certain quotations that just lit a fire within me, right? They just give me such passion when I hear people like, Nelson Mandela talk about it is only impossible until it's done. And I hear Helen Keller talk about how while they were saying amongst themselves, it cannot be done, it was done, And here we are hearing, right here in this book, that history and science has shown us many times that the impossible can become the possible like that. A great example of this is the recent discovery that humans can actually influence their autonomic immune system using the power of the mind. Now, we already know people who do this today. Shoot, think about Wim Hof, right? Wim Hof. Fully in. Let it go. Fully in. Let it go. Right? Wim Hof breathing. We have people today, living today, like Wim Hof, who's gone out into the snow, right? Into the mountains with the energy, right? Challenging the elements of nature, right? Going against what we call as nature, right? But being able to, with the power of the breath, with the power of his mind, being able to find peace and to see his own chi start to increase amongst the elements, right? Now, a modern person, an average person, they would be bundled up. They'd be wrapped in the covers and blankets and jackets and thermals. Wim Hof is doing it in his underwear, chilling. And this is Wim Hof, right? And if he can do it, why not you? He proved that there's something we all can do. That there is something within all of us that can shine through. This timeless divine, as we take the time, through the power, the limitless power of your mind. Let's take a look at what happened when people who claimed that they don't eat were examined by science. Breatharianism cases. The Qigong practice of begu and Qigong practices examined by science have yielded some extraordinary results. There's that word again. A study published in the American Journal of Chinese Medicine has seen in the U.S. National Library of Medicine demonstrated that a woman with special abilities was and is able to accelerate the germination of specific seeds for the purposes of developing a more robust seed stock. This is one example of many. You can find the study and read more about it at collectiveevolution.com. The Catholic Charism of India also involves the claim of living well without eating food. Dean Radin, chief scientist at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, explains the concept in his book, Supernormal: Science, Yoga, and the Evidence for Extraordinary Psychic Abilities. The implication is that the human body can transmute ambient energy. Now, ambient energy, what does that sound like? Ambient. Sounds like something ambient, something in the ambiance, right? Something in the atmosphere. We can transmute with the human body ambient energy into nutrients. And through the practice of cultivating this ability, one can live comfortably for as long as one wishes without food. For as long as one wishes, and possibly without drinking water. This is described as a siddhi in the Yoga Sutras as pada, liberation from hunger and thirst. This flies in the face of a substantial body of medical knowledge, which has established that the human body can last about 5 days without water and a few weeks at most without food. Beyond that, you're dead. As a result, despite a host of historical examples of people lasting for years without eating and sometimes without drinking, most nutritionists and biochemists regard such claims to be ridiculously impossible. And the people who make the claims, currently dozens to hundreds worldwide, to be seriously delusional. Some of those claimants may well be delusional, but all of them? Prahlad Jani. Prahlad Jani is a local Ahmedabad, India He's a local of Ahmedabad, India, who claims that at the age of 11, the Hindu goddess Amba appeared to him and told him that he would no longer have to eat food. He has apparently lived in a cave since the 1970s and claims not to have eaten anything for most of his 81 years as of 2012. Jani was tested in 2003 and in 2010 at Ahmedabad Sterling Hospital at Dr. Sudhir Shah and his large team of doctors. Dr. Shah is a consultant neurologist who has been practicing for 20 years, as well as a professor and department head of neurology at KM School of PG Medicine and Research. During the first test, which took place in 2003, Jani was monitored 24/7 by hospital staff and video cameras, where it was confirmed that Jani neither ate nor drank. He also did not show any physiological changes, which according to modern day medicine should be impossible. Are you hearing this? This test took place over a 10-day period. And I recall that Ray Mayor also did a 10-day test like this. Although it might not seem like a significant amount of time, to go 10 days without food or water and not experience any physiological changes is actually quite astounding. He was tested again at Sterling Hospital in 2010 from April 22nd to May 6th. This time, he was observed by 35 researchers from the Indian Defense Institute of Physiology and Allied Sciences, amongst other organizations. Ooh, they bringing out the big guns now. They said, we ain't playing no games. We want to see what's real. This time, Jani was observed to not eat or drink for 2 weeks. As with the previous test, he exhibited no deleterious effects from his abstention. This truly is unbelievable. You know, it reminds me of a scene in Star Wars where, you know, Yoda was out there in the swampy lands of this planet, and Yoda used the Force to lift up this X-Wing ship, this fighter pilot ship, out of the muck, and he used the Force to telekinetically place it down, right? That psychokinesis. And Luke looked at Yoda while he was closing his eyes in concentration and placing the X-Wing down, and he said, I don't believe it, right? And Yoda just looked at Luke and he said, that is why you fail. I love that scene. You know, it illustrates a good point. That when we think something is unbelievable, usually that is why we don't bring it into being. Because for a lot of us, seeing is believing. And goes against everything we know about human physiology and the nutritional requirements of the body. As one might expect, neither these tests nor these results were published in medical journals. I wonder why not. The studies have also generated a lot of criticism. The main arguments against these tests were, however, quite weak in my opinion. One argument holds that Jani escaped the scrutiny of the hospital staff and video cameras with the assistance of his disciples, and that he did in fact eat or drink something. Yet, hospital staff maintains this is impossible because he was monitored around the clock as per the requirements of the study. You know, I can't imagine them having this man, the only man that they're monitoring. I can't imagine they have him slipping off, you know, doing anything during this test when the whole point of the test is to monitor him day and night, right? Even with these criticisms, the evidence is solid and appears to correspond with a known siddhi. A statement from a scientific group, which included the Defense Institute of Physiology and Allied Sciences, given to ABC News back in 2012, reads as follows. We realized that if this whole phenomenon really exists in a human being, even for 15 days, it would have immense application in unraveling secrets of medical science and its application for human welfare. Instead of ignoring this case, we selected to investigate further in a rational and scientific way. We again make it clear that the purpose of this study was not to prove or disprove a person, but to explore a possibility in science and study a new phenomenon. Wow. I feel like Neil deGrasse Tyson is in here somewhere. He's like, in our universe. To study and explore in our universe, a new phenomenon. So we're gonna hold up there. We're just gonna give a little pause and, round of applause. Round of applause for this, just this knowledge and this way of being that many people are starting to be seeing out here, that this information can be freeing out here. For those people who don't realize with real eyes that we could have been told and sold some real lies for the majority of our real lives, right? But that now is the time to come in a new understanding. And I believe that this knowledge is even more demanding today with the abundance of consumption, when we even have the gumption that we can continue to be stuffed, making it even more tough and even more rough on our bodies. But that we don't have to stay that way. That we can always change. And even if something seems strange, even if the rest of the world thinks you are crazy and deranged, you can understand what you might be able to gain when you build up the energy and become more self-sustained. Thank you for listening and glistening, and we'll come back for more. We're still on chapter 2, and take care. I'll see you again.